Welcome back to another episode of the Chamber Podcast. My name is Rob Johnson. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in studio is Sue Alderson. She is the owner of Fountain of Youth out of Hartland, Michigan. Sue, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to dive more into your business. It's an area I am terribly unfamiliar with, admittedly, but I want to learn. So when you meet people at a networking event, give me a 60-second rundown of what you tell them you do.
In 60 seconds, I would probably say that we specialize in face and body refinement. We have just about every type of, we can fix about every ailment that you have, non-surgical, and we don't diagnose. And, if you need to go to a dermatologist or something, we send you there. No plastic surgery, anything like that. So,
okay. So I'm just curious, I want to get more into the details of the business, but what got you into this particular industry?
Well, I've been a nurse now for, I think over 40 years. And I started out years ago in ICU, and then I went into home care, wound care. And one day in the back of a magazine, there's this little thing that said, "Nurses, do you want to learn to do Botox?" And Botox had just become FDA approved. I stuck my neck out. I went down to Florida and took this training and quit my job and decided I was going to do Botox. And this is in Flint, Michigan, which Flint, Michigan is not like being in New York City or someplace like that.
Sure isn't.
So I started out and I kind of dabbled around, worked out of a few doctor's offices and things. It was very new to everyone. Nobody knew what Botox was. And all of a sudden I see this spot right where I'm at in Hartland right now at 23 and 59. And went and made an appointment and put a lease on it and opened this business. And my husband's like, "You did what?" and it's been now about 20 years. So,
wow.
Yeah.
So was it at the time when Botox was just approved by the FDA, were you nervous at all of going into a particular, vertical of health maintenance that hasn't really been in the market terribly long?
I think I was so burned out with the ICU. I was a wound care nurse, the things like that this sounded like, wow, this is really a cool thing. And I really didn't think very much. I jumped into it. I had no clue how to run a business. I had no business experience at all. I probably had no business doing this. So no, I wasn't. I was excited. But then, I ended up having to keep my nursing jobs for a while too, because I didn't make any money. And it really just wasn't that well known. And then I sit on a prominent corner, so every laser rep found me, came in, so I had to buy every machine. And then, then I have all the debt from the machines. And so these are back in the early days. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I imagine, well, I guess at what point did the business start to tip the other way where, okay, now customers are starting to come in and things are starting to progress and go well?
We slowly built the business up. There was nobody else doing Botox. And I tell everybody, I built that business from one Botox at a time, gave reasonable prices. But, then we hit the bad economies. We made it through all the economies and everything. I think the last 10 years is when I've really seen the growth.
Okay. And with that, when you look at, where the marketplace is now, I know you've expanded into doing more things. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about those diversifications and what you've done to continue to add to the practice.
I think when we started out that everything was Botox, then they came up with the fillers, and everything was more of just putting a Band-Aid on things. And then we started realizing that, wow, these people are coming in and to fix these lines and these wrinkles, but they still aren't doing anything about their skin. So maybe they've quit frowning and they look good, but they've still got this bad skin. So that's when we kind of evolved into needing different kinds of treatments and things. And, I started out just myself doing everything, then slowly brought in estheticians, laser technicians, and then we ended up, hiring more nurses. And it's just the technology. I go to a lot of seminars. We do a lot of training. It's really changing rapidly.
What year was the business first established?
2005.
Okay, so coming up on 20 years.
Yes.
When you started in 2005 and you look here and we're almost to 2025, Does it amaze you at how much things have evolved and changed and where you are now compared to just when you started and, started the lease and didn't tell your husband about it and like how all of that grew into this now?
It has, and I mean, it was kind of taboo. Nobody wanted to tell anybody if they were getting Botox or anything like that. It was a secret. And now it's like, it's interesting because girls, I used to see them come in with their babies and baby carriers. Now their babies are coming into me and wanting their lips done and things like that. And it's so like, oh, if you're not getting Botox, then what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I will say, like, when Botox first hit the market, it was almost like a joke. Like, people saying, oh, this person gets Botox, kind of whispering, behind their back, right? Now it's so much more mainstream.
It's very
and
mainstream.
It's everywhere. Seems like you can't, drive by any city block without walking by a place that, does, is it injectables, injections? I don't know.
Yeah.
This is just me not being totally ignorant.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but it seems like it's everywhere and it's growing.
It's growing a lot.
And then how do you measure, the market in terms of what to do next or what to add on next to continue serving your clients well?
I mean, mostly I just keep going to seminars, seeing what the latest things coming up are. And the shift right now is going, so all these years, everybody's kind of just wanted to look better. Like back earlier in the early days, it'd be like you could get a facelift or a nose job, things like that. That was kind of what people did. Then we got the Botox, we started doing things like that. Well, now people are all have a different mindset and everyone wants to live longer. So the new buzzword right now out is longevity. So I might look good on the outside, but how am I going to look good on the inside and how am I going to stay healthier?
Yeah.
And that's how there's just a lot of every day there's new things coming out. It's so hard to keep up with that, but a lot of new, and it's all about this health right now.
Have you ever had to sit down with someone and be like, listen, you're going the other direction too much?
All the time.
Slow down a little.
All the time. And because I've been open so long, and there's med spas on every corner right now, we fix a lot of people. And a lot of people come in and, they go someplace, it doesn't look right, and then they come back and we fix them. And, we're like, look, we are not going to touch that. You've got too much done. You need to back off. There's a product, fillers, for instance, the cheeks and the lips. Sometimes you just can tell with people. We don't like to do that. We want people to just look natural. We don't want to change your appearance. We just want you to look natural, but maybe a little bit more rested, a little bit more youthful.
Yeah.
So there's a product that you can inject that will dissolve that filler. And we have had to do that because some people, they just go crazy.
Yeah. They're just in a constant state of surprise.
Yes.
Because they've done too much.
Yeah.
When you talk about, what the legacy of the business is and where it's going over the next 10 years, what's on the roadmap?
I think over the next 10 years, getting a lot more into that wellness portion of it. We're looking at PRP, which is plasma-rich protein. That has been out for a while, but it's just coming out a lot more. Another big thing right now, and people don't like to talk about it, but it's like sexual wellness, things like that's a really big thing. I mean, what do they say? 70 is the new 50, and so people want that. So people, I'm seeing the direction going a lot more like that, and the weight loss huge. That's huge right now. That's just we've been crazy with that.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about that and what that looks like.
So we have semaglutide and tirzepatide. I think you probably know these. If you listen to the news, they came out with what you call Ozempic and Wegovy and all these different drugs. And they first started out for diabetes. Well, then they found out that the side effect was that you'd lose weight at the same time. So people started seeing all this rapid weight loss, and then everybody wants they want the rapid weight loss more than they want to control their diabetes. So it got so big so fast that the companies could not keep up with the demand. So when the companies couldn't keep up with the demand, the FDA allows the compounding pharmacies to produce these medications, and the generic name is like semaglutide and tirzepatide. So we did start it. We did a lot of education on it, did a lot of training, and now we come in our office, and our nurses do an assessment. They put you on a body scale, and we have a 3D camera that shows your whole body composition and everything. And we go over your whole medical history and everything, and then we start you on the injections if you're a good candidate. It's been pretty interesting. I've learned a lot about it, and we've seen life changing. We have people lost over 100 pounds.
Wow.
People they're so happy. They have so much more self-esteem. They just walk around, and we just comment about, look at them. They just hold their head up higher. They feel so much better about themselves. And I think that of everything I've done, I feel like we've really made a positive change. Whether it be the diet shot or whether it be the Botox or anything, we've made such a positive change in people's lives. And that's what always makes me happy when people come back and tell me that, like, wow, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't, have this or that. So
yeah, that's got to be nice to hear. Yeah. And one question I have on people that are doing the injectables for weight loss, is this something where they have to stay on it for life, or they hit a certain point and then they come off of it? I'm completely ignorant on it.
If you're on it for diabetes, then they say, yes, you could stay on it for life. I mean, some people are on it that didn't even need to lose weight. But if it's for weight loss, it's not meant to be a lifetime. It's not meant to be just take the shot and then go eat or drink anything that you want. You have to I feel that it gives people a good jump start. What it does, in simple terms, it works on your brain. It tells you that you're not hungry, that you don't have an appetite, that food doesn't taste good. And it works on your GI system. It slows it down. And so, you feel full faster. So you might have a little bit of water. You might be hungry, and then you're just full. You just cannot eat anymore. So that's the way it should work on it. And then you've got to do your own part. And a lot of people complain about nausea, things like that. But I think a lot of times they're also trying to force this. Their body's telling them, don't eat or drink this. And they're trying to force it down anyway. Yeah. And that's when they get a lot of the GI upsets and things that they call the side effects. But, I think, we like to have you lose the weight. So we start you out at a slow dose, and then we titrate it and move it up so that you don't have, your body gets used to it gradually. And when you've lost the weight you want to lose, we don't want to cut you off cold turkey. We want to wean you off of that slowly. So we'll back it down the same way that we put you on it.
I see.
And, you could take it, maybe you'd go back down to every 2 weeks. Maybe you go down to once a month. I have people that say, I just want to do it once a month. It just keeps me at bay. And, I think if, just don't wait till you put 100 pounds back on. Like so many diets, we go lose all this weight and we crash really fast.
Right.
And then we don't control anything. We haven't changed any of our habits, and we put it right back on. And I say, look, if you start seeing it creep up, get back on the shot, get it under control, and then wean back off.
Have there been any negative side effects apart from just the nausea and anything from a long-term standpoint that people have documented?
Nothing that we have seen. In fact, it's on the news all the time, and every week they've found one more benefit of it. It has a lot of benefits because obesity causes so many health problems,
sure,
joint problems, things like that. So they're finding that it reduces the risk of heart attacks and strokes and things, but that's because of the weight, what it does, to the body. There's always across the country, they're always going to say, okay, somebody had this, somebody had that, but compared to the hundreds of thousands of people on it, it's relatively a safe medication. And the benefits of it really outweigh the minimal side effects.
Sure. That makes sense. Yeah. When you were talking about the people getting sick and having the nausea, it almost reminds me of almost a chemical reaction to what happens when you have gastric bypass and you still try and eat the same amount of food.
Yes, exactly.
I used to work in the hospital. We used to have people that were post gastric bypass surgery, and then they would continue eating a normal diet like previous to the surgery, and they'd be miserable because your stomach can't do that anymore.
Yeah, we have some of our clients have had the gastric bypass put all their weight back on, and now they've came into us for the shot.
Yeah.
It's sad,
Well, and it goes back to like, there isn't any, it's almost a life principle. Like if you don't get the habit under control,
Right.
no amount of medical intervention is going to fix and
Right.
combat, poor habits.
Yeah. I think the reason this is so successful, you'll go on this diet or you go to the gym and you work like crazy for 2 weeks and you get on the scale and you haven't lost anything and you get frustrated so quickly and you just quit. Like, why am I going to deprive myself? But now with the shot, I think because it's easier, you get on it. And if you can see quick results, you're like, I can do this a little bit longer.
It's more motivating.
Right.
Yeah.
Before that, it's like, okay, I'm going to try it for a month. If I don't lose any weight, I'm not going to do it. I'd be like, you're not going to lose in a month. I tell you, you have to commit to at least 3 months, or I won't even. I don't want people's business. If you can't commit to at least 3 months, then it's just not for you.
Yeah.
And
you didn't put the weight on overnight. It's not going to fall off overnight.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
It is. Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, so is there anything else about your business that you want people to know before we close today?
I think one thing is that we have a pretty big male clientele, and men may not talk about it, but we're getting a lot more males in for things like that. And people think it's just kind of a women-oriented business. But the thing that the males come in more, we have a lot of them on the shot, but the males are coming in, a lot of come in for Botox, and they don't want to look like they're angry, and they're getting that done. But also hair removal in their ears and on their back, and then tattoo removal. We do a lot of tattoo removal too.
Is that like to the spot where it's 100% effective now, where you can completely remove a tattoo?
I have seen some that it's completely gone. Most people are left with what they call ghosting. So it's kind of a little bit of a discoloration that you can see the shape of it, but it's so hard to tell because there's so many different dyes and you don't know what people are putting in there.
Sure.
And it's just nothing that you can guarantee or anything. Some colors are easier to get rid of others. A lot of people come and get it done, and they'll maybe take it halfway down, and then they'll go get a new tattoo over the top of it to get it something that they like better, either because they don't like it or they had a bad job done, or they just sometimes they just fade and they just start looking not as good anymore.
Very good. Has anyone ever laser hair removal like the top of their head? Just so I gotta keep shaving my head. Is that a thing? Do they do that?
I have not seen that, but you could. Laser hair removal, the hair has to be dark. So if it's white or gray, it won't work on it. But I did have this lady one time, and she had like the widow's peak, like right here. And I think that's what it's called. And she hated it. And we lasered it and got rid of it and just gave her a nice, smooth hairline.
Oh, that's a bummer. I should have this 5 years ago. The left side of my head's turning gray, so it's probably not going to work. I'll just have one streak of gray here and no hair anywhere else.
And we do have lasers for to improve your hair growth. But that's probably more that someone that's in an active hair loss situation. It's usually not for that male pattern baldness. It's usually not going to do.
Yeah, I'm terminal. The damage has been done, Sue. This can't be recovered.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Well, but now, I mean, that look is really in.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Before, you were just like, oh, he's bald, he's not attractive or something. But now that's the thing. They're shaving their hair to look bald.
Yeah.
So.
I'm alive in the right time.
Yeah.
So that's important. All right, very good. Well, Sue, if someone wants to know more about your business, why don't you go ahead and give the website, and then we'll, of course, make sure it's included in the show notes for the podcast as well.
Okay. Yeah, our website is www.fountainofyouth-mi.com. We're located right at the corner of 59 and 23, right next to Black Rock. And we're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturday, 9 to 2. And you can just walk in. You might not be able to get a treatment done then, but we are a walk-in place. We're retail in the front and carry full line of all medical-grade skincare products, things like that. So.
That's a great location. I see every time I go to Black Rock or Mexican
Thanks.
Fiesta there in Hartland. So you're right there.
Right there, yep.
You're where everything's going on there.
We just completely renovated the whole inside, and it's very nice.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Sue.
Well, thank you.
All right, very good. Well, everyone, that's going to wrap up this week's edition of the Chamber Podcast. If you want to know more about Sue and her company, please go ahead and take a look at the show notes. Apart from that, if you're listening on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe for all of the latest updates from the Brighton Chamber. Apart from that, we'll catch you on next week's show. Take care.